In this video, I'm going to be explaining how to get your commercial pilot's license from start to finish. Let's do it.
I'm Evan, and I've been flying airplanes since I was 14 years old. Being a commercial pilot in the Rocky Mountains is incredible and has led me on some very wild adventures. My mission? To share with you my love for aviation, the outdoors, and all the things I've learned along the way in hopes of inspiring the next generation of adventurers and adventure-seeking pilots. If you're new to the channel, then cheers. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, welcome aboard.
So why do you need a commercial pilot's license anyways? Well, if you have any intention of working as a professional pilot, maybe you want to be an airline pilot, a corporate pilot, a cargo pilot, a bush pilot flying customers into fishing camps, or a freelance commercial pilot flying people in their own airplanes like myself, then you're going to need a commercial pilot's license. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to be putting any of the product links that I recommend to help you through your training. Those will be in the video description below, so make sure you check those out. Now, the prerequisites for the commercial pilot's license are as follows. You must complete first the private pilot's license, the first step in becoming a pilot. Now, I've made a video explaining the private pilot's license, or the PPL for short, in full on my channel. I've also put the link in the description down below, so if you need to check that out, it'll be there. Second thing is you must be 18 years of age or older in order to hold the license, although you can start your training at a slightly younger age. You must also have a Category 1 medical, and I recommend getting this done first before you start your training to make sure that there are no issues. Here's an example of the different medical categories in Canada and the US. Lastly, you must finish and complete all training and total hour requirements for the commercial pilot's license, or the CPL for short, and pass the in-flight and written tests. Now, there are 4 components that I've broken down for the commercial pilot's license that must be completed: the total flight hour requirements, the in-flight training, the practical flight tests, and the commercial written exam. Now let's take a look at the first 2, the total flight hour requirements and the flight training portion. You must have a total of 250 hours total flight time. This is an accumulation of all of your flight time and training to date. I'll show you an example in a minute. It is very important. Of the 250 hours total, you must have completed 100 hours of pilot in command time, 50 hours of cross-country time, 20 hours of dual commercial pilot license training, and this includes 10 hours of instrument training, 10 hours in a TAA, that's a technically advanced airplane, so an aircraft with advanced avionics, a 2-hour cross-country flight during the day with 100 nautical miles straight line distance between 2 airports, another 2-hour cross-country flight at night with at least 100 nautical miles straight line distance, and 3 hours of flight test prep. You must also complete 10 hours of solo commercial pilot license training, and this must include a 300 nautical mile cross-country flight with 3 landing points with 1 leg that has to be at least 250 nautical miles straight line, and 5 hours of night training where you do at least 10 takeoffs and landings at an airport that has a control tower. Here's an example. Let's say it took you 60 hours to complete your private pilot's license. Then you decide to fly for fun for 30 hours to show all your friends your new Top Gun skills in a Cessna 172. Then let's say you decide to finish your multi-engine rating, and that took you 10 hours. Then a few months later, you completed the commercial pilot's license training, so 20 hours dual and 10 hours solo. As we just described, you would have a total of 130 hours, and you would have to accumulate an additional 120 hours in order to reach the 250-hour total commercial pilot license requirement. Maybe you rent an airplane for a little while, finish your IFR instrument rating, and do some additional training to get to that 250-hour mark. The third component is the practical flight test, which consists of an in-flight portion and a ground portion, similar to the private pilot's license flight test that I described in my other video. This is completed in the aircraft with a qualified flight test examiner after you have completed your training. The fourth component is the ground portion and written exam. Yes, there is a written exam that you have to pass. Similar to the private pilot's license exam, the commercial license written exam requires 70% to pass and will test you on everything from meteorology, navigation, and aircraft systems to flight planning, air law, and flight theory. To prepare for the written, some flight schools will offer a commercial ground school that can be completed in class, but online platforms are literally everywhere and just as good at getting you prepared. I'll put a link to my favorite product resources in the video description, like I said, so check those out. And think of the commercial written test as a more advanced test to the private pilot license exam. Something to note though is your training doesn't have to be in this exact order. For example, you can complete the written part before the in-flight training like I did, or vice versa, however you want to structure your training. Woo. All right, so to give you a good idea of what you can expect, I'm gonna share a little bit of my story and how the process went for me. Now, when I finished my private pilot's license, I accumulated around 70 hours already. I decided to take some time to enjoy my accomplishment after that. I took some friends flying, I took my parents flying, I took my brother flying, I tried to take my ex-girlfriend flying. She said absolutely not, but I was just excited to start building some hours and enjoy being able to fly as a private pilot's license holder. Now, my plan was to start working on my commercial pilot training while at the same time building rental hours and practicing on my own. I also took this time to study and write the commercial written exam. This flight school that I was at had a specific ground school that was held in class, and it was enough to get me ready in a matter of a few weeks. Don't fret if you fail the first time, recharge and study a little harder, and I'm sure you will pass just fine. If I recall, I failed my first attempt, so don't be discouraged. I then decided to talk to my flight instructor and start my commercial flight training. She recommended that we start on the training right away so that everything from my private pilot license training was still fresh in my mind. Training for the commercial license is essentially building on top of the skills and knowledge you've already learned, and you're likely going to be flying in the same type of aircraft. The primary difference, however, was that the margins of error were quite a bit tighter. Altitudes must be within plus or minus 100 feet, airspeeds plus or minus 5 knots. This is a little less margin than for the private license. Just like the private pilot's license, each training flight would start with a pre-flight briefing and end with a debrief once the flight is completed. My first training flight towards my commercial license was basically a review. We went up to the practice area and just got comfortable with the airplane again. We practiced some stalls, some steep turns, some forced approaches, slow flight, etc., just to make sure I remembered the basics. Now, because I was a licensed private pilot already, the following 3 flights were conducted on small 150 nautical mile cross-country trips while flying under the hood using a set of foggles. This was to contribute towards the 10-hour instrument training hours required. We would also practice short and soft field landings at every opportunity. We practiced flying to and from different navigational aids such as VORs and NDBs, and even tried to fly a couple simulated ILS approaches to really test out my instrument flying skills. Of course, I wasn't instrument rated at the time, but she felt like it was a good challenge for me so that I was always learning new things. On my 4th flight, my instructor and I spent a couple hours practicing unusual attitudes, a scenario where you must recover the aircraft from several different flight conditions, all while wearing the foggles so that you rely on your instruments only. This was enough to satisfy the 10 hours of instrument training and the 2-hour 100 nautical mile day cross-country requirements. Then one evening, I booked my instructor for a night cross-country flight. While conducting this flight, I was able to practice a couple night takeoffs and landings, which would come useful for my solo night flights that I would have to complete later on. While en route, my instructor quizzed me on all sorts of navigational questions, as well as a bunch of different flight emergencies at night. Over the next couple flights, I decided to complete my 5 hours of night solo flying in order to get my 10 takeoffs and landings. Having just finished a night cross country with my instructor, I was feeling pretty confident. At first, I decided to fly 8 night circuits at the home base airport, and then on the next flight, I flew a night cross country solo to another towered airport in order to get the rest of my solo night hours and night takeoffs and landings. Next was the 10 hours of technically advanced airplane training. At the time of my training, most small aircraft didn't have state-of-the-art avionics like we do today, but today it's important to be familiar with modern glass panel cockpits. This means you might have to do some training in a Cessna 182 with a Garmin G1000 avionics panel. Having flown over 15 years now, I can tell you that modern glass panels are everywhere, and it's an important part of becoming a pilot in today's aviation world. Next was the 300 nautical mile solo cross country. I was really looking forward to this part. You are required to fly a solo cross country trip to 3 different airports, with one leg being at least 250 nautical miles in a straight line. The routing I planned took me to a destination that was just over 300 nautical miles straight line, and then on the return, I would make a fuel stop at an airport sort of on the way back. The night before, I spent a few hours flight planning, checking weather, packing snacks, and when I got to the airport the next morning, gave the airplane a thorough walk around before taking off. To my luck, I had 40 knot tailwinds for the 250 nautical mile leg. However, battling those winds on the return trip resulted in me having to make an additional night landing. Not a bad thing to add to the logbook. Lastly, all I had to do was get my 3 hours of flight test preparation done with my flight instructor before I could take the commercial check ride. However, only one problem. Even after all my flight training, renting, and commercial license training, I still needed approximately 60 hours of flight time in order to reach the 250-hour total time requirement. What was I to do? I was ready for the test, so stoked to do the check ride, but still short of the 250-hour mark. Well, thank goodness there was still more training that I could do now that I would eventually need to do later if I ever wanted to become a working pilot. The multi-engine rating and the multi-IFR instrument rating. I could start towards these ratings now, and if I completed them, hopefully be at or beyond the 250-hour mark. Therefore, I will be ready and completed all of the ratings I need, as well as my commercial pilot's license. Brilliant. So that's what I did. This was one way in which I was able to utilize the time and money spent on getting these ratings to help contribute towards my commercial pilot's license hours. I will make separate video explaining these ratings in more detail, so stay tuned for those, and they'll be posted on my channel. Finally, when I was close to the 250-hour mark, I decided to finish up my flight test prep hours and get ready for my commercial check ride. My instructor, of course, and I went up and reviewed some upper air work, some instrument flying, some short and soft field landings, as well as all of the emergencies that would be expected on the test. And of course, I needed a little extra review time, approximately 8 to 10 hours or so in the airplane before I felt ready enough for the commercial check ride. Now, there are 2 portions to the commercial check ride, the ground portion and the in-flight portion. We started the ground portion first, where the examiner asked me several questions about the weather that day, my flight plan for that day's flight, some questions about commercial air operations, and quizzed me on my knowledge of the aircraft operating handbook, the systems, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Soon after, we were in the air doing what felt like the same thing I did for my private pilot license check ride. However, I felt more confident because I'd been through this process before. Yes, the margins of error were tighter, but I was a better pilot by now. I could maintain altitude and airspeed better. I knew about the airplane better. I felt like things were just more comfortable. Of course, I didn't ace everything on the test, and there were some areas that I could have done better on, but overall, I did what I thought was a fantastic job. Your flight instructor will likely have more confidence in you than you do, so don't be intimidated when it comes to your check ride. You know what to do, and if you forget something, be honest and find out how to look it up. An examiner will always appreciate a pilot that can admit when they don't know something, and they will admire a pilot who will try to figure it out. Once I had passed my check ride, the examiner signed my pilot's license. Remember, I already had my private pilot's license, and because I had met the 250-hour mark by now, thanks to the completion of my multi-engine and IFR instrument ratings to help build more flight time, I was fully licensed commercial pilot with all the ratings I needed to start looking for my first job. The journey from private pilot license to commercial pilot license was one of the most challenging, but one of the most educational of all my flying. Once completed, the search for pilot opportunities finally became a reality. And don't think that just because you're a brand new commercial pilot with limited experience that you can't land your dream aviation job right out of the gate. One of my next videos is going to help explain how you can find amazing job opportunities in the aviation world, even as a brand new pilot with limited experience. Also, if you are scratching your head wondering how to get your private pilot's license to get the whole thing started, I made a video explaining that process as well. Check it out on my channel, and it'll also be in the video description below. Hope everyone enjoyed this video. If you want to show your support, subscribe, like, and feel free to leave any questions in the comment sections down below. Someone will answer it, most likely me, but if I don't get to it first, someone with more experience likely will. Happy and safe flying, everybody. See you next time.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Little cheers to all the new viewers. And if you're curious on what it's like to become a pilot, what the process is, how to get your first aviation job, then I've got videos on my channel that you can check out to help get you started. Absolutely love and appreciate all the support, everybody. So we'll catch you on the next adventure. Happy and safe flying, everybody. Cheers.